Look around you. The world hums with an invisible energy, a digital pulse connecting every soul, every transaction, every thought. We call it progress. We call it the pinnacle of human achievement. But what if this shimmering reality is merely a mask for an ancient, unfolding nightmare? We are taught that the apocalypse is a sudden, explosive event. Fire raining from the heavens, oceans boiling, the sky tearing open. But what if the end of an age does not arrive with a deafening roar? What if it creeps in with a whisper, welcomed by our own hands? For centuries, scholars have pored over the enigmatic texts of Patmos. The Book of Revelation is often dismissed as a fever dream or myth. Yet, as we stare into the glowing rectangles that dictate our lives, the bizarre visions of John the Apostle begin to look less like metaphor and more like a mirror. Consider the modern human condition. We are more connected than ever, yet suffocating in an epidemic of profound isolation. We scroll through endless streams of curated perfection, feeding our minds with fleeting dopamine hits while our spirits starve. Anxiety is no longer a condition. It is the default state of existence. We have built a world of unparalleled convenience. Whatever we desire is delivered to our doorsteps within hours. Knowledge is instantly accessible. Yet, this convenience demands a silent sacrifice. We surrender our privacy, our attention, and ultimately our autonomy to algorithms that know us better than we know ourselves. The sky is thick with invisible signals. Satellites track our movements, cameras watch our faces, and artificial intelligence predicts our desires. We have constructed an omnipresent, omniscient architecture. It feels like a triumph of science, but step back, and the silhouette of this architecture begins to cast a deeply unsettling shadow. We are losing our grip on what is real. In an era of deepfakes, synthetic media, and algorithmically generated narratives, truth has become a fractured, subjective illusion. We wander through a hall of mirrors, unsure of what to believe, manipulated by invisible forces that profit from our perpetual confusion. This disorientation is not accidental. It is the natural byproduct of a society that has severed its roots from the divine and placed its faith entirely in the artificial. We have crowned technology as our new savior, eagerly bowing before the altar of innovation, oblivious to the chains we are forging. In the final book of the Bible, a vision is recorded of a global system, a towering beast rising from the sea. It is a creature of absolute authority, demanding allegiance, controlling the flow of wealth, and dominating the minds of the masses. A system of total, inescapable integration. The text speaks of a mark, a condition for participation in society. Without it, no one can buy or sell. For generations, this was interpreted as a physical brand, a terrifying stamp of loyalty. But perhaps the ancients lacked the vocabulary to describe the digital chains of a cashless network society. Think about the systems we rely on today. Your digital footprint is your currency, your identity, your passport to the modern world. If your access is revoked, you are effectively erased from the grid. You cannot bank, you cannot communicate, you cannot function. Is this not the very essence of the prophecy? The beast of Revelation is often depicted as a monstrous entity. But what if the beast is simply the system, a sprawling, autonomous network of data and control that we have voluntarily built? We feed it our biometric data, our deepest secrets, our daily routines. We worship it through our constant, unwavering attention. Revelation warns of Babylon the Great, a glittering, seductive empire built on excessive wealth, exploitation, and moral decay. It is a system that trades in the bodies and souls of men. Look at our global economy. Are we not trapped in a relentless cycle of consumption, trading our finite time for manufactured desires? We are hypnotized by the spectacle of Babylon. We chase endless accumulation, measuring our worth by the brands we wear and the digital approval we garner. Meanwhile, the earth groans under the weight of our insatiable appetite. The rivers run toxic, the forests burn, and the skies darken with the exhaust of our progress. Yet we refuse to look away. The glowing screens offer a mesmerizing escape from the emptiness of our reality. Revelation speaks of an image of the beast that is given breath, a lifeless idol that speaks and commands worship. Could there be a more perfect description of artificial intelligence? We are literally breathing life into the machine. We are teaching it to think, to speak, to create art, to mimic the human soul. We ask it for advice. We trust its judgments. And increasingly, we surrender our decision-making to its cold, calculating logic. The image has awoken, and it is speaking. What happens when the machine decides what is true? What happens when the algorithm determines who is righteous and who is an outcast? The prophecy warns that the image will cause those who refuse to worship it to be slain. In our modern context, social death and digital exile are already realities for the non-compliant. Let us examine the four horsemen, the harbingers of the end. The white horse, traditionally representing a conquering force or false peace, rides first. Today, we see the conquest of the mind. Ideologies sweep across the globe like digital viruses, conquering populations without a single physical shot being fired, uniting them under false utopias. The red horse brings the sword, taking peace from the earth. While global wars of the past seem distant, modern warfare has simply evolved. It is asymmetric, cybernetic, and psychological. We live in a state of perpetual, invisible conflict, where the lines between civilian and combatant are entirely erased by the machinery of statecraft. The black horse carries the scales of commerce, representing famine and extreme economic disparity. A day's wages for a loaf of bread. Look at the shrinking middle class, the skyrocketing cost of basic survival, and the billionaires who hoard wealth equivalent to entire nations. The scales are tipped, and the black horse is galloping. Finally, the pale horse, whose rider is death, followed closely by Hades. Pandemics, despair, and a profound crisis of meaning are sweeping through our populations. Life expectancy drops in the most developed nations, not from starvation, but from the diseases of despair, addiction, isolation, and a deep, gnawing hopelessness that medicine cannot cure. But the true apocalypse is not merely a sequence of external disasters. It is an internal unveiling. The word apocalypse itself means to uncover, to reveal. What is being revealed in our modern age is the fragile, hollow nature of the human ego when stripped of its divine connection. We are witnessing a spiritual starvation on a mass scale. We have traded the eternal for the ephemeral. In our desperate attempt to become gods through technology, we have lost our humanity. We are building a digital Tower of Babel, reaching into the cloud, hoping to find salvation in code and silicon. This internal apocalypse is characterized by a profound sense of fragmentation. We are pulled in 1,000 directions by notifications, obligations, and artificial crises. Our attention spans are shattered, making deep reflection impossible. And without deep reflection, how can we possibly hear the still, small voice of the divine? The systems of control thrive on this fragmentation. A distracted mind is an easily manipulated mind. The less we look inward, the more we rely on external structures to tell us who we are and what we should value. The beast does not need to force our submission. It simply distracts us into compliance. Fear is the currency of this new age. The media bombards us with apocalyptic scenarios, climate collapse, economic ruin, political extremism. This constant state of fear activates our primal survival instincts, shutting down our higher spiritual faculties. We willingly trade our freedom for the illusion of safety, welcoming the chains that bind us. Revelation speaks of a grand deception, a time when evil will masquerade as light, and the masses will be led astray by miracles and wonders. Are the technological marvels of our age not the miracles of today? They dazzle us, cure our ailments, and connect us across oceans, blinding us to their hidden costs. We must ask ourselves, what is the ultimate goal of this relentless technological progression? Transhumanists openly speak of merging man with machine, of overcoming death through digital uploads and genetic manipulation. It is the ultimate rebellion against the natural order, a final, arrogant attempt to rewrite the code of creation itself. To alter the human template is to tamper with the image of the divine. If the soul is the spark of God within us, what happens when we replace our biology with circuitry? Do we become immortal, or do we permanently sever our connection to the spiritual realm, trapping ourselves in a digital purgatory? The signs are not hidden. They are woven into the very fabric of our daily lives. We carry the tracking devices in our pockets. We willingly scan our faces to access our money. We invite the listening devices into our living rooms. The infrastructure for total global control is already fully operational. It is a slow, methodical boiling of the frog. Each small compromise of privacy, each incremental step toward total reliance on the system feels logical. It feels necessary for security and convenience. But with each step, the trap closes a little tighter, and the path backward becomes increasingly impossible to navigate. Consider the push towards centralized digital currencies. The promise is efficiency and the eradication of crime, but the reality is absolute financial surveillance. A system where every purchase is tracked, categorized, and permitted or denied based on your social compliance. The mark of the beast is not a tattoo. It is an algorithm. If you speak against the prevailing narrative, your accounts can be frozen. If you protest the system, your digital identity can be erased. This is not science fiction. It is happening right now in various parts of the world. The architecture of the beast is being tested, refined, and slowly rolled out globally. Yet, amidst the creeping darkness, the Book of Revelation offers a counter-narrative. It is not merely a book of doom, but a book of ultimate victory. It draws a stark line between those who align with the beast and those who remain faithful to the divine, those who refuse to bow to the image. What does it mean to refuse the mark in the modern age? It may not mean fleeing to the wilderness, but rather cultivating an inner wilderness, a sanctuary of the mind and spirit that the system cannot penetrate. It means reclaiming our attention, our autonomy, and our ultimate allegiance to something higher than technology. It requires a radical detachment from the seductive illusions of Babylon. We must learn to live in the world without being of it, to use the tools of modernity without allowing them to use us. This is the ultimate spiritual battlefield, and the war is being fought in the silent spaces of our own minds. The escalation is undeniable. The pace of change is accelerating beyond human comprehension. Artificial intelligence is evolving at an exponential rate, outstripping our ethical frameworks and our ability to control it. The powers of the world are racing to harness this technology, knowing that whoever controls the AI controls the future. We are standing on the precipice of an irreversible paradigm shift. The integration of the biological and the digital is no longer a fringe theory. It is the stated goal of the world's most powerful corporations and governments. The threshold is approaching, and once we cross it, the definition of humanity will be forever altered. As the tension builds, we see the cracks in the foundation of Babylon. The systems of extreme wealth and exploitation are becoming increasingly unstable. The earth itself is reacting to the burden of our endless consumption. The prophecies of natural upheaval and societal collapse no longer read like ancient myths, but like tomorrow's headlines. There is a palpable sense of anticipation in the air, a collective holding of the breath. Even those who hold no religious beliefs sense that the current trajectory is unsustainable. A reckoning is coming. The only question is whether it will be a reckoning of destruction or a painful rebirth of human consciousness. The Book of Revelation speaks of the stars falling from the sky and the sun turning black. While this may be literal, it is also profoundly symbolic. The stars represent our guiding lights, our moral compasses, our trusted institutions. Today, trust in these institutions is collapsing. The lights of our civilization are going out. When the sun turns black, the source of our illumination is obscured. We are wandering in a spiritual twilight, groping for meaning in a society that values data over wisdom. The darkness is not the absence of light, but the overwhelming flood of artificial illumination that blinds us to the truth of our existence. In this twilight, the false prophets of our age multiply. They are the technologists, the politicians, the influencers who promise salvation through their latest products or ideologies. They speak with the authority of the dragon, using algorithmic amplification to drown out the quiet voices of reason, morality, and divine truth. We are called to be vigilant, to keep our lamps trimmed and burning. But how do we stay awake in a world designed to put us to sleep? How do we maintain our spiritual clarity when the very environment we inhabit is engineered to distract, to numb, and to conform our minds to the system? It begins with a conscious choice to unplug, to carve out moments of silence in the cacophony of the digital age, to look at the stars instead of the screens, to connect with the earth, with our communities, and with the divine presence that dwells within us, untouched by the machinations of the beast. We must recognize that the ultimate power does not lie in the algorithms, the surveillance networks, or the centralized banks. These are illusions of control, temporary structures built on shifting sand. True power lies in the human spirit, in the capacity for love, sacrifice, and unwavering faith in the face of overwhelming darkness. The apocalypse is an unveiling, a stripping away of all that is false. If we are indeed living in the age of revelation, then we must welcome the unmasking. We must be willing to let go of our attachments to Babylon, to watch the glittering empire crumble, knowing that it was always an illusion. Let the systems fail. Let the artificial lights burn out, for it is only in the darkness that we can see the true stars. The collapse of the modern paradigm is not the end of the world. It is the clearing of the ground for the establishment of a kingdom built on eternal truth. Every time you choose compassion over judgment, you resist the beast. Every time you seek silence over endless stimulation, you refuse the mark. Every time you value a human soul over a digital metric, you rebel against the system of Babylon. The resistance is not a violent uprising. It is a quiet, relentless spiritual defiance. The visions of Patmos end not with destruction, but with renewal, a new heaven and a new earth, the descent of the holy city, where tears are wiped away and death is no more. This is the ultimate promise, the light at the end of the apocalyptic tunnel. But to reach it, we must navigate the fire. Are we living in the end times? Perhaps the answer is less important than the way we choose to live right now. Whether the final trumpet sounds tomorrow or in 1,000 years, our mandate remains the same: to be bearers of light in an increasingly dark and confusing world, to stand firm in truth. Look closely at the signs. Do not be consumed by fear, but be awakened by awareness. The ancient words are speaking to us across the millennia, echoing through the fiber optic cables and the satellite waves. They are a warning, a guide, and a profound call to return to the essence of what makes us human. The stage is set. The actors are in place. The digital infrastructure of the apocalypse is humming in the background of our daily lives. We are the generation standing at the crossroads of history and prophecy. The veil is lifting, and the true nature of our reality is being revealed for those who have eyes to see. As the shadows lengthen and the system tightens its grip, remember that the story has already been written. The beast will rise, Babylon will fall, and the ultimate illusion of human control will be shattered. The only question that remains is, where will you be standing when the final seal is broken? We must scrutinize the very nature of our desires. The system of Babylon does not force us into submission. It seduces us. It studies our weaknesses, our lusts, our cravings for comfort, and it offers them back to us at the cost of our freedom. We are imprisoned by the bars of our own appetites. What if the mark of the beast is already upon us, not as a microchip, but as a state of mind? A mindset that values the material over the spiritual, the artificial over the natural, the collective conformity over the individual conscience. To think like the system is to bear its mark upon your forehead. To act like the system, to participate willingly in its mechanisms of exploitation and surveillance, is to bear its mark upon your right hand. The prophecy is a profound psychological insight into the nature of human corruption. We become what we worship. If we worship the machine, we become mechanical, cold, and devoid of grace. The echoes of Patmos are not meant to paralyze us with dread. They are meant to shake us from our spiritual slumber. They are the sounding of the shofar, a piercing blast cutting through the noise of modernity, demanding that we remember our divine origin and our eternal destiny before the night falls completely. You are not a data point. You are not a consumer profile. You are not a biological machine destined for digital upload. You are a living, breathing soul, created in the image of the infinite. No system, no algorithm, no earthly empire can ever claim ownership of the spark that burns within your chest. The age of revelation is not approaching. It is breathing down our necks. The signs are hidden in plain sight, disguised as progress, convenience, and security. Open your eyes. The veil is tearing. Out. The ancient prophecies are merging with our modern reality. The apocalypse is here, and the ultimate choice is entirely yours. Divine Creator, in an age of artificial light and digital noise, grant us the clarity to see the truth, protect our minds from the illusions of this world, and anchor our souls in your eternal peace. Give us the courage to resist the shadows and walk firmly in your unfading light. Amen.